Hi guys, in this video I want to explain why Fortnite is succeeding and why they will continue to succeed until other game companies decide to copy their successful multiplayer model. Now, Fortnite has disrupted the game industry. The company is making billions of dollars. No other game company is making that much money off of one game. And the reason they are doing this is because they made their multiplayer free. They opened their potential audience exponentially higher than any game that comes out that costs money. Their potential audience is now anyone that has a gaming platform. If you have an Xbox, a PlayStation, a PC, a Switch, or even a mobile phone, you are now a potential audience of Fortnite just because they made the game free. Now I'm going to switch to Sketchbook to show you a visual demonstration of exactly what I'm talking about. Now here's a quick visual of the potential player base of exactly what I'm referring to. Just think of the blue dots as potential players, and the bigger dots are the players that have more money to spend, so we call those whales. And the smaller dots you can kind of perceive as kids or people with not much money to spend. Now if we take a $60 game, and for this example I'm going to pretend that Fortnite released at $60, we have to take away a lot of the potential players, because frankly there's not every player in the world that's going to want to spend $60 for a game. So I would say at least half of the player base wouldn't want to spend $60 on Fortnite. So I'm going to remove half the potential player base. And then you'll also have to consider Fortnite is a unique game. It's not in any genre that ever existed. It's not considered just a third-person shooter or just a building game. It's a mix of both. It's a very weird game, and most gamers aren't willing to spend $60 on a game that is unique. They don't like to take chances. There's something called buyer's remorse. Gamers don't want to spend money and then find out they don't like the game, and then you just feel like you wasted $60. So I would say even more than half of the potential player base goes just based off of how unique Fortnite is. So now most of the player base that downloads Fortnite is you're relying on word of mouth instead of getting as many downloads as you can off the start based off the game being free. And that's a very tricky way to make money off a new IP. Now some of the non-Fortnite players are probably asking, so why are people spending money in the game if it's free? So people are going to spend money in games if the game is healthy, and that is something Fortnite is right now. It's constantly updating their games. They're constantly have new user base. They're constantly adding items, changing the environment. They actually have seasons every 3 or 4 months where they change the entire map, add a bunch of new things, adjust weapons and all that. So when a game is healthy, people will spend money. Now the difference between a $60 game and a free game, and what Fortnite is showing, is that a $60 game's longevity is shorter than Fortnite is showing to be, as long as they keep the updates coming and making the game better as it goes on and changing it. And now I'm going to demonstrate what I mean by this. So to start, let's go back to 1990. So 1990, and this is when, what was it, the NES, PlayStation were popular, before the internet. So 1990, we had cartridges and CDs, so there's no internet, so there's no way to update the game. The developers have to release the game in a functioning state when it comes out. So when the game first comes out, the revenue, people are buying it, it's like here. But then as over time, the revenue quickly drops off because it gets boring, stale. You can beat the games. There's no way to update it. There's no multiplayer. There's no longevity to the games back in 1990. I mean, there's people that will go and replay the games, but that's pretty much it. Now let's jump to the internet era. So internet era, we now have the internet. We can now update games, add items, stuff like that. But we're gonna make the game cost $60. That's the normal model for the beginning of the internet era, and until Fortnite came out. So $60 game, let's say. The game ships, the demand's high. Let's say this is Call of Duty for the hell of it. So the demand's high, the game comes out, people are buying it. And another big thing that happens with a lot of games in this era is they're broken to start. So you need a bunch of updates to fix it. Update, so on and so forth. Sorry about my handwriting. But over time, the game starts to get stale even with all of the updates. But they still update it. $60, and people aren't really spending money in the game like they used to if they have microtransactions in it, because they know that the user base is dying and they don't want to spend their money because they feel the game is dying. You don't want to spend money on an unhealthy game. So as it continues to die and updates, I'm going to say it eventually is going to get to a point, I'm just going to mark it right here, where if it gets below this red line I just made, it's officially dying. And this, when it's at this red line stage, is when a game company decides to drop all its resources to updating, and no more updates. And they're going to move all the resources, move all their employees to working on the sequel. And then eventually the game just goes crap because they know they're not even working on the game anymore. They know that they're just working on the sequel. No one's really spending time on it. So why is anyone going to spend money in a game that's dead? And that's pretty much how games have been probably since the internet started. We have all these sports games where they're hot for a little bit and then the new game comes out the following year. So people aren't going to spend much money in it near the end. Only near the beginning of the release are in-game purchasables hot. And the last one is the Fortnite free model. So this game comes out for free, multiplayer, and the revenue is at the very bottom to start. No one's spending any money, but the big difference is, I'm going to add a different color for this, is user base. So the user base for this free game is at the very peak. Most people, so as in the $60 game, they also start at the peak, but it's probably about half because half the people aren't going to spend $60. So, but the trend for the $60 game is the same as the revenue. But for Fortnite, I need a different color. I need to add user base to this to show you what happens as this game evolves over time. So let me erase the $60 game line. And let me go back to black to get the revenue. So a lot of people are playing it. No one's really spending money yet, but they're starting to enjoy the game as time goes on. And one thing that this free game does is it puts less pressure on the player and more on the company. The player doesn't have to worry about wasting $60 for a game they don't like, but the company has to have a lot of confidence in their game, and that is something we need in the game industry. We want companies to be confident in their games release, and if that happens and it's a good game, people will start buying stuff in the game because they want to be unique to the game. They want different characters, they want different skins, they want different gliders, they want to be unique in the game compared to other players who don't buy anything. And that's when their revenue starts to go up, when players start enjoying the game and want to be unique. And as they start making more money, they're going to start updating the game. And the great thing about this, as revenue goes up, people are spending more, they start adding more seasons with more maps, more items. The user base is stagnant, and the user baseline is what determines if a game is healthy or not. And since the game is always at the top, near the top, it's always healthy. And when a game's healthy, that's when people will spend money, unlike the $60 game where it's only healthy for the start, and that's when people are willing to spend money. And then as it drops, the game loses health and no one wants to spend money anymore. And that is the Fortnite model, and that's how it's disrupting the game industry. This is the new model, and this is the better way. And I look forward to when more games start to do this model.